The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning while it was still dark, and she saw the stone removed from the tomb. She ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and she told them, "They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we do not know where they have put him." And so Peter and the other disciple went out and ran and came to the tomb. But the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived first at the tomb. He bent down and he saw the burial cloths there, but he did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb, and he saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth which had covered his head, not with the others, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who had arrived first, and he saw, and he believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord. If you are very comfortable in your pew, it means you have room for another person. So this is not first class, this is tourist class, just regular folks. So if Steve can shuffle in a little bit, that would be nice. By the way, just one brief exegetical commentary on this gospel. Peter, who represents authority, the one whom Jesus loved, represents love. And always in John's gospel, there's a second level meaning. Love outruns authority. Secondly, authority goes into the tomb first, but it's love, the one whom Jesus loved, goes in second, but he's the one who sees, and he is the one who believes. The primacy of love over authority. It's kind of interesting to look at this gospel and begin to interpret this in a scholarship manner. Few homiletic thoughts for this Easter day. Ronald Rolheiser, in his book Against an Infinite Horizon, paraphrases a piece from Plato's Symposium, and he writes in this manner: "We are fired into life with a madness which comes from the gods, which makes us believe we are destined for a great love, to propagate our seed and to contemplate the divine." His book is based on this remembrance from Plato's Symposium, which is to say, there are three energies inside of us that are inexhaustible: a desire for love, for life, and for truth. A desire for love is a desire for something infinite. All our expressions of love that have value are shaped in the absolutes. I love you forever. I love you. I have a wonderful godchild in the second grade here, and she says to me, "I love you to the moon." Well, nothing less would be sufficient. The only love that matters is the absolute, unconditional love. Can you imagine if the vows of marriage were, "I'll love you for a year, maybe two"? The gift has to come from deep inside of us and has to express this sense of infinite, unconditional self-donation. My friend John Powell, a Jesuit from Chicago, died a few years ago, once told me that he had this couple who were struggling in their marriage. And they came to see him, and he said, "Now, Marianne, what's the trouble?" And she said, "He's a neatnik." drives me crazy. Because when he comes home in the evening, he looks here and he says, what have you been doing all day? How come this isn't this way and that should be here? Drives me crazy. If only he told me he loved me, then I would be energized. But he doesn't tell me. He said, now, Bill, what do you think about this? And his father's like this. When we got married, I told her I loved her. And I told her if I ever changed my mind, I'd let her know. So you wonder why they were in trouble. You must keep telling me you love me. You must keep telling your children you love them, because we have this inexhaustible appetite for the fullness of love forever. I love you with all my heart. Look, whenever you get these Valentines and all that stuff, it has to be forever. Can't be, well, I love you if you're better. So this deep thing inside of us, kind of the infinite desire for love. Plato had that 300 years before Christ. The second is a love for life. We had a man here a few years ago, and he was in this pew up here to celebrate his 100th birthday, and we blessed him. He had no intention of dying. He wanted to live forever. So we begin to wonder, when we die, do we still live? And it's just not the length of years, which is the thirst of our soul. It's also a meaningful life, a fullness of life, which is somehow attached to relationship. There's this inexhaustible thirst for the infinite in life. I went to my beauty shop yesterday to get a haircut for Easter, and the gal who cuts my hair, she's a Buddhist. And I said, now, Charlene, do you believe in reincarnation? Oh, yes. My mother came back, and somebody else came back as an animal or a person or something. It's this desire for infinite life. Belongs to every one of us. And the third one is for truth. We're in a condition of searching for truth. We go to the moon, we have to go to some other moon. No matter what we get in life, we're in a condition of searching, trying to discover new things, trying to understand the meaning of life. You know, Rolheiser has this story about the Buddha or the Hindu who's out walking with his God. And he says to his God, could you tell me what the mystery of life, explain the mystery of life? And his God says, yes, but I need a glass of water first, so would you go over to that house and get a glass of water? So this young Hindu man goes over, and this absolutely ravishing, adorable woman comes to the door and invites him in for the glass of water. 40 years later, he's married and his kids are up and they're successful and he's rich and he's famous. And then they have an earthquake and the whole place shakes and he said, God, where are you? And the boys come back. Where is the glass of water? We somehow have to go back to the original in order to satisfy our appetite for truth. And yet, we're all so imperfect. It's a condition of searching which will go on and on. It's part of the fiber of life. The search for love, for life, and for truth will always go on. Young people will tell you this, you know, when they, here's an interesting thing, you know, when I'm going to officiate a marriage, I always take the young couple out to dinner to get to know them. Now, I don't deal with papers, somebody else does all that paper. I just want to get to know you. So here's what typically happens with the young couple, see. They're not sure of Monsignor, they're a little bit hesitant about that. I have a forbidding image. And anyway, the first thing I say is, now, Marianne, I'm going to make you the Pope for today. He's a pope? Yes, you're the pope. Pope Marianne. Now, you want to change anything in the church, you can change it now. What would you like to change in the church? Well, Marianne's a little bit hesitant about just what to say, so she gets a safe one. She says, I think priests should be married. I said, that's not a bad idea, you know. It's a bit late for me now, but anyway, at 75. But it's not a bad idea. Now she's encouraged a little bit. So I say, well, how about gay people with their marriages? Oh, she said, we don't care. We've got gay friends. We went to school with gay people. We don't have any problem with gay marriage. Oh, fine. Okay, so how about couples in a second marriage in the church, going to communion and everything? Well, Marianne hesitates a little bit here because Bill is over there and she doesn't want to say, yeah, it's fine. You know, Bill says, oh, how nice. So typically Marianne hesitates over this one. And he says, no, our love must be forever. Better, worse, rich, poor. That's the only love, the only truth, and the only life which satisfies the yearnings of the Spirit. And yet we are imperfect. It's very important to be imperfect, because when you're imperfect, you somehow become more aware of your need for God. If you were perfect, you wouldn't need God. God made you imperfect. If He wanted you to be perfect, He would have made you perfect. The most insufferable people in a church are perfect people. They drive you crazy. Yeah, they're holy and they're, oh gosh, right? Drives a priest crazy. We're all imperfect people. Somehow the imperfection reminds us of our need for forgiveness, for the forgiveness of God, for the forgiveness of those around us. Being imperfect reminds us how much we need to be loved. Not to earn the love now, but to be loved in our imperfection. To love me not just in good times, but to love me when I'm struggling, when I'm miserable, when I'm awkward, but to love me when I am imperfect. Imperfection reminds us that there is more to come, that we're on a journey, and we haven't reached somehow the plateau of perfection. So it reminds us there's more to come in life. It reminds us that being human is to be holy. And a call to life on this resurrection day is not a call to a new place in your life where you ought to be, where you should be, where you might be. It's a call to find God's presence where you are now, wherever you are. Now, whether you go to church, you don't go, God is present in your life now, wherever you are, in your imperfection. So all those who are visiting us, by the way, I should welcome you to an imperfect church. This is a church of people who are searching, who are hoping, who are dreaming, who are somehow in need of one another. So welcome to the imperfect church. There's a story told about this man who was searching for the perfect church. Well, he came to Holy Family. It wasn't perfect. So he went to another church, and that wasn't perfect. He went to another one. And finally, he found the church which was perfect. And he joined it. And it became imperfect. That's who we are. So rest. Rest in your humanity. Celebrate your humanity. Feel God's love for you in your humanity. Feel a place of holiness in your imperfection. Let the Spirit lift you. Let the Spirit bless you. Let the Spirit of God affirm you in the place in which you stand now. In this way, today becomes a holy day. Amen.